Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today I have another amazing guest. He is the founder and CEO of Curious. His name is David Tomasian. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for everyone listening. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's all mine. So thank you for joining me today. And let's kick things off. I kick things off with the simple question. It's what is your background and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Well, is it a simple question? Um, I mean, if you talk about logical, what would be a logical background? I mean, we're talking about an AI-powered browser, crypto native. So if you talk about, logical background, as in I stem from Harvard, Oxford, MIT, computer science, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, then I would say no. But if you talk about, hey, someone who loves AI and someone who has always loved AI and has always been like a OG in crypto space, then yes, I'm the type of guy who is, to right fit to the space. To tell a little bit about my background, the first time when I heard about crypto was when, back in 2014. This was when crypto or Bitcoin was booming. And I've always fell in love with the whole the technology, to be very honest with you. So not really in the sense of, oh, I'm going to make some money with it, but more as in the use case of, Bitcoin, that it's a transaction and it is something that you control on your own, even while we're so young. Um, like it's a peer-to-peer thing, no middleman, there's no bank. So with that, um, I've always, heard about crypto and Bitcoin while the years has passed. And my background has been media. So I was always making, let's say, business cards for people or logos or websites. And I was always into programming as well in that time. So I've helped a lot of companies when they were growing. And while that was combined with crypto in my growth phase with media and helping other people with design and representing themselves, and this could be your bakery, this could be your biggest next ID, I became kind of, invested into crypto. And I've also understand how to recognize other projects. I've recognized how to be in certain trends because I was helping people when they were growing in their, growth phase in that year when it was about creating a business card or a logo for someone. So in combination, I made myself, like with my own liquidity, a VC. And with that success, I invested always into, pre-seeds. Um, so I've always understood like trends when they happen. Like, is it the play to earn? Is it DeFi? Is it this? Is it whatever it is? And now it's like AI. But like I said before, AI was always a thing that I loved. So with the technology that we have right now with LLMs and SLMs and data sets, and you can now have, run your own AI, and seeing as a VC other CEOs and other founders and their growth and everything, I decided for myself, you know what? As a VC background, as a media background, helping other companies, why not, do it by myself? Why not be a CEO? Why not be a founder? Why not be in the trenches? Why not be in the jungle? So with that said, am I the right guy or am I the right person on this niche? Well, that's for, the viewers to decide, or however you want to call it.
You sound to me like the right person. So
Okay.
far as so very good, And I think, looking at trends and being curious about different things going on. I think curious is an apropos name, right? So I want to find out what curious is all about and why is now the perfect time to be curious.
Well, that's a good question. So Curious is an crypto native AI powered browser that incentivizes you on your behavior. So I mean, it's all about being in control of your data. So that's how you use the browser. You're going to have your own control with your data. And how we incentivize that is because if the user wants to share that, for example, then you get incentivized by it. And I feel like these days, if you talk about timing, like why is now the right time to be curious, how you put it in. These days, you see a lot of problems happening with major tech companies like Google, Meta, and other players, Spotify, Amazon. There's always data leakages happening constantly. And I feel like the problem of solving that issue, the issue of like companies that do care about your data and protect that. And we can kind of see that with Apple now. Like, hey, you can store your information locally with your phone, but still there's a problem. They still share your data with other companies. And if you would tell me, like, if you would ask me, like, why is now the right time to be curious? You should ask yourself, why was it the time when Bitcoin came in 2008 and became kind of public in 2009? Why was it so important to control your money instead of the banks? And we've never seen companies try to actually protect data as well, because the tech and the stigma wasn't even there. I mean, let's be honest here, not a lot of users care about their privacy. Not a lot of users care about their data because they always say, well, I have nothing to hide. There's nothing about me. Like, sure, here's my data. Like, I have a great product. Um, but I mean, you can kind of sense, right, this year, the previous year, and I believe COVID did a lot of stuff as well when it was about your data. Like people became kind of aware, like, hey, where's my data actually going with governance? And I mean, for back in the days, it was us tech savvies with crypto when we realized like banks are using um, our own liquidity for funding other stuff like wars and politics and whatever. So we were like, hey, I want to control my own money. And you kind of see the stigma around data that people are starting to realize, where are my chat history going to? Where is my data actually being sold? Is it on the dark web? And if so, what's happening with that? So I feel like this is the timing where we finally have a company, Curious, that cares about protecting that data, but also giving you ownership on your data, that you control whatever happens on your internet activity, whatever happens on your browser, and with everything, like your mouse movements, the search history that you have, everything you do is yours, and you decide if you share that with the company. Let's say, I mean, not the company, you're sharing that with advertisers to get incentivized. And this makes sense when you talk about, a lot of companies are like, hey, we want to personalize your ads. Well, okay, if you do, then pay me at least. If you want me to give you data, then give me the liquidity. And that's what we do. We cut off the middleman.
I like that. I like that a lot. So you said some things in there, and I want to dive into them in a little bit. I wasn't planning on asking, but they're good follow up questions I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The first thing I want to ask you though is about the garden. I would say the Garden of Eden, but it's not. It's Adam and Eve. You know, how do Adam and Eve shake up the apple tree of agentic AI?
I like that question. Um, well, I mean, I was talking about how data is being, you know, leaked and whatever. And the first time we're going to now see how, agentic AI is going to behave when it comes to giving the input that an AI always has. Like when you type something in ChatGPT or DeepSeek, Claude, Grok, it always needs input before it gives you an output. And now we're gonna see, Adam and Eve getting input constantly out of your behavior. The way you even touch your thumb on the phone, let's say, the way you move your mouse, the way you watch YouTube videos, the way you listen to Spotify, like the type of music you listen to, and it will give you a output without you realizing you're giving it so much input. And through that output, it knows your motivations, it knows your way you interact with the internet. So it's going to give you an output to, it's going to be like, hey, Jamil, I noticed that you were watching this specific series, let's say on Netflix, you binged it for a couple of hours, but you have an important meeting tomorrow. I think the best idea to do now is to perhaps rest or to watch a specific documentary, which I already know that puts you into sleep because there's this important meeting for the next day, let's say. It understands your behavior, how you interact with emails, how you know how you prioritize certain emails, how some people around you are more important than others, or it's a huge thing because it's yours. Like for the first time, you're going to give it as a user so much data to feed upon because it's your own SLM. It's your small language model. It's no more a model that is being connected with major players. It's like for the first time you open up the application, it's going to deploy like almost like the moment you open up a wallet on crypto, it's like a seed phrase you have. It's yours. You got to protect it. It's the same thing with Curious, with Adam and Eve. The first time you deploy it, you have your own, let's say seed phrase, your own SLM it's getting deployed, and this is going to be your mirror. It's going to be a serving factor on how you behave. So everything that you do, it's going to learn from you. It's going to understand you so much better that it's probably going to understand you better than yourself. Even to a moment where maybe other people can interact with it. Like let's say your friend can interact with your SLM to ask certain questions if you're away on a holiday. It's going to do stuff for you while you are away, and where people can interact with.
So I like it. It sounds good to me. I was at the UN conference on Monday, the UNGA General Assembly, for a small event there. And they were talking about the role and the importance of the large language models, the ChatGPT, and capturing all the information. And if
Yep.
I ask ChatGPT how many books I've written, it's about, it says 30, and I've written a lot more than that. But you have a different, like you're using a different model for Adam and Eve. Like, what is the best model for AI, and why is it the best?
Well, I mean, we're not using a different model. So there is an LLM. So there's an Adam and Eve LLM that is there. And this LLM is, how every other LLM is trying to perform the best on mathematics, creativity, reasoning, whatever. Like what every other LLM is trying to, accomplish with certain data sets. It's trying to be the best at the benchmarks, every arena benchmark. So you always have an LLM that is good at performing coding, vibe coding, they call it these days, or writing books or whatever you want to do to achieve that. So you have your LLM, but the difference is that you have your own SLM. It's the SLM that is yours that is communicating with the LLM. But this SLM is tailored to you, like your psychological profile, every metrics that you have. And in the future, it could even, and we already have those things, but I mean, people will get scared if we do that. It can, open your camera and it can read your emotions through your face, your facial expressions. It can even understand your voice ID and your voice tone. So, and this is your SLM, right? This is your data. This is your data that is going through your chats, your emails, your agenda, your everything that you do. It's going to sync with every device you have, your phone, your desktop, your laptop, everything. And this thing is you. It's like a reflection. It's going to serve you. Like it's an ethical SLM. It's an ethical AI. Even if we talk about ethical stuff, I don't know if you've noticed. Have you seen these articles going like flying by when they talk about how certain people get a psychosis when they talk with ChatGPT, for example, or people? There was even a recent article talking about a young guy who, you know, killed himself because of talking with ChatGPT. And back, like for me, when I read that, I was like, oh, so because I wasn't really aware of like how it can influence, human beings. it gave me the realization to, when we build something, especially when it comes to SLMs, because it's a AI that serves the person and we don't have control of that. We don't understand the behavior that mirrors the user. Then we need to keep a very close look on how we build this SLM when it serves the user. So it shouldn't be motivating someone to do something very bad, or motivating someone when he watches too many videos which are too funky, to put it that way. Um, so I would say those are the things that differentiate us from other, major companies like OpenAI or um, yeah.
That sounds good. That sounds so. So you mentioned before. You mentioned data leakages, right? And
Yeah.
I know your focus is on giving control back to the people, right? So, in addition to in addition to hopefully preventing data leakages, why else is it important to give control back to the people?
Well, this is like I said before, privacy and data is such a difficult topic when you try to explain it to, I don't want to say normies, but just the regular average Joe or Jane. Because, like I said before, they have nothing to hide. That's always the game, right? Hey, I have nothing to hide. And for me, what I'm trying to accomplish with Curious is not to explain or not to bring the, oh, but you are important or you should realize what's happening, but is to make the user so important, even the average Joe or Jane, that you are part of a so larger clock in this whole system that we are in. When you talk about major tech companies like Meta, Google, Uber, everything that you do with your phone, Samsung, Apple, like even how, like it doesn't matter how important you are part of this. Let's call it a machine that feeds on everyone's data to eventually sell this to major players, major institutions, institutions that do need this data so they can have influence over politics, wars, behavior on psychological profiles on how humans behave in every country. Because in the end of the day, which has always been happening throughout history, kings and queens have always control. Like that's like a data thing. Like you see that in everything. Like the knowledge is always kept inside, you know, the like in every empire, like in the Roman empires, it's always there. Like they always feed upon the behavior of users. And my job, what I would like to, achieve is to explain users that for having control over your data that is so valuable for these big institutions, you can now either be like, hey, if I share this data, let's say with advertisers, at least pay me. Let's at least, incentivize me by. And if you don't. It will even go so far. Like you probably have seen these simple algorithms on Instagram where it's like an institution of, they talk about, hey, if you smoke cigarettes, apply, and then we can do some research on you. You're getting paid $2,000 for this month if we can feed on your data, your behaviors. And with Curious, it's the same thing. It's like, hey, there's an institution that wants to learn from you because the SLM knows you're smoking. Here's $100. Would you like to share your SLM's data with this institution who will protect your data? Because Curious has, let's say, done his due diligence on this institution. So I feel like, it's a tough job, like I said, people don't care about their data, privacy, whatever. But I feel like if you explain people how their data is being misused and you become part of the problem where we are, then you might see more people realizing that and stepping into the Curious platform as in like, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm done using other browsers, Chromium, Edge, wherever. I'm keeping my data for myself. And if I do want to sell my data, I'm getting incentivized by it. So users can choose.
Yeah, I prefer to be incentivized and not be stolen
Right?
from. Yeah, you know.
Like if you use my shit, at least pay me.
Well, I'm thinking about these leakages, right? I mean, um, I was a Celsius customer, right, client. I've had 3 distributions, and every time we're getting closer to a distribution, I get so many phishing emails because they know it's coming, and they're trying to get me to trick me. And I'm like, I look at the bottom. It's like one was like from a cafe in Norway. I'm like, yeah, you have to look at the whole email, right? And I'm like, so privacy in this day and age where so many people get so much spam and phishing, I'm looking at your platform and how that stuff can be prevented. You know, so how can we prevent the phishing and the spam by using agentic AI, by leveraging your platform, perhaps? How can we do that?
Well, it's a good way of thinking. I mean, at Curious, we will do our best, right, to learn people how to protect their data. It's almost like the same thing would happen with crypto. You do your own research, never share your keys, never be on an exchange, always keep it for yourself, and tell no one that you have this. Or and the thing is that we need to ask ourselves, like a question for you maybe when you talk about this topic. Would you rather have your gold bars at a bank that you don't know how to, protect your gold bars, or would you rather have this gold bar at your home in a way protected that was tailored on how you think that you should protect it? So like, of course, the answer is
At
you
home.
need, like, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility thing. Sure, if there's a phishing thing, if something is going on, then yes, your data has been, stolen by because of your behavior, because you weren't informed correctly. Um, and there's this huge gap between responsibility as a human being, being like realizing I have responsibility and not this major bank that keeps my liquidity, or not this, like, would you rather have Meta storing your picture, your profile picture on their servers, or would you rather have the profile picture on Facebook be stored on your laptop? And I think that answer for yourself answers the question.
Yeah. Laptop for me is laptop.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I went to buy crypto the other day, and the message, I couldn't buy it because it said my bank says I have NSF, non-sufficient funds. I had plenty of funds,
Yeah, yeah.
so the bank was controlling whether or not I could buy it, and that's not right,
I
so
mean, that's always the problem, right? The bank has always this like minimal cash reserve. Like everyone kind of knows if a certain population is going to take their cash out the ATM right now, the bank is going to get bankrupt because they use your liquidity for other stuff. Like the bank is calculating if you do a withdrawal, it's a quick thing like Swift, like, okay, does the user has a money? Yes, no, okay, cool. Let him have the cash.
yeah,
And how, like my knowledge, a bank has on average between 5 or 10% in cash reserve. And that already in itself is kind of insane. Like that's crazy.
yeah, I agree with crazy. So you mentioned this word too before. You mentioned the word trenches. And I want to
Yeah.
talk about the trenches of Web3. But first, when I think of being in the trenches, I think of 2 things. One is I think of builders, and one is I think of degen crypto investors and traders. Let's talk about the builders first. Okay, what do you see as the keys to success for builders in Web3?
Um, so I've heard this question a lot actually with, with my friends, with the people around me. And I've also seen this with a lot of, gurus, people that even sell courses, with keys to success and how to be the next entrepreneur or the next builder that is, right for the space. And I believe that not a lot of users are going to be happy with my answer because it's not the answer that people would look for. I mean, my personal opinion. I feel like being in the trenches, being in the jungle, it's not made for everyone. And I feel like if you're motivate, like let's start with the motivation for the builder. If your motivation isn't well put, let's say it's all about making money, securing yourself financially, helping your family, those are good things. Like, sure, nothing against it. But it's not going to fuel, let's say, the success key on waking every day. And I feel like honesty in this space, when it comes to people that are more having more influence towards, younger audience or younger people or people that are building currently, and explain like, yeah, if you're going to work hard, you need to build your community, transparency and VCs, and you have to have you need to be funded, and social capital, all these things that you can buy and like whatever. The harsh reality, and numbers do not lie. Not everyone succeed. Like, you are either a builder and you are very resilient against everything that comes at you, and you perform and you go at it every day, you wake up every day and you do your stuff, that's going to make a difference. I mean, it's you're building upon years. It's not something that you do the next day. And people need to realize it's a century game instead of like, I'm going to be a millionaire next year, or I'm going to be successful with the company that I have. It's something you build upon centuries. It's not something you build upon months, weeks, years. No, no, no. You need to be comfortable if this is an everyday, like, this is what I meant with the harsh reality. There is no success key. Literally, there is no success key on building something that you believe in, that deep down your core, this is what the market wants to, let's say with your ID. And it's the same principles with supply and demand, right? Like, hey, I have this brilliant idea as a builder. Okay, let's say the success thing is there supply or is there demand? Is there demand for something that I'm building? If the demand is very high and you know you can do it, go for it. Give everything you have, right? Do your thing. But like I said again, data doesn't lie. There's millions of startup companies every year. There are tons of crypto companies every year, and 99% of them, they fail. That should tell you something towards you. So let's say the key that I could give: reflect in the mirror, ask yourself, am I the type of man, am I the type of woman that could do this? If the answer is yes, go for it.
I love that. I love that. Why? Because when I think of the other side, when I think of the degen traders in their mom's basement or dad's
Yeah.
basement or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
looking at three
yeah.
screens, saying, "I'm in the trenches."
Like, what are you on about?
I've written 371 books. I'm on my 372nd. We'll probably finish today. 500
Oh,
some
wow.
podcasts. Day by day, one by one. I buy crypto. It's one or two cryptos of one at a time. So like have 1,000 or something. I mean, I started with one, then two. People don't want
Yeah.
to do it slow. They want to do it like right away, and they want assurance. And I'm like, no one's giving me any insurance. I don't have insurance. I have
No
insurance on myself.
guarantees. Zero.
Yeah. So your answer's right. I like it. So um, we are. I have one last question. I have a couple of last questions. One is a crypto question. We are still stuck on using decentralized applications built on centralized browsers, right? Do we need decentralized browsers with decentralized applications? What's the best solution to building, for the future?
Well, not to sound, oh, look at me. I mean, we're literally building a browser that is, decentralized. So we're trying to achieve, we're doing it. We're in the movement of actually empowering people with their data. So finally we see a company that I'm giving my all that's trying to achieve this. And if you look, like, it's difficult. I mean, I'm dealing with major companies. Not that I see them as competitors, but I'm dealing with multi-billion dollar companies like OpenAI. And even them, they are trying to they're even gonna build a browser next year. You can see Perplexity Comet. You see, other major companies that they're already there. And the reason why not they are not decentralized is because I've always said the multi-billion dollar industry is always data. It's users. That's it. So do you really think Meta is gonna be like, oh, we don't want to read your chat history, we don't want to understand how you behave with your mouse movements, the profile picture you have, how your mood is? This is valuable data. The multi-billion dollar industry is data. So why don't you see it? It's because no way they're gonna be removing themselves out of a revenue pool that is so high just like that because they care about users. Are they caring about users? Because I've had so many topics about other, entrepreneurs, builders, and they always ask me the question as well, like, David, how are you going to make money if you're not having the data of users? That's a fair question out of a revenue, way. And I mean, in the end of the day, we are I don't want to sound, how do you say, communistic? Like we're sharing data, everything is ours. But we are sharing a revenue pool for the first time with users. We are protecting and we are incentivizing. We are not here to make revenue. We're here to make, I don't want to sound heroic. We're here to be a revolution. Like, I believe this is what I've always said, like, hey, what happens if we do go big and Meta is observing us, or Perplexity and all these other major companies? What will happen? And I believe the answer is we will force them to use this way of a new revolution. They will be enforced like, hey, this is the new internet. And this is how it should be. This is what makes it so different, especially with AI coming, that we are supposed to co-create AI for humanity. There shouldn't be a thing where it's one entity that is going to be growing towards AGI where users have zero control. This is how I'm building Curious. This is how we are building Curious. It should be that we as a humanity are co-creating with these SLMs, feeding this LLM with data on how we humans behave, how we navigate through data, information, knowledge, everything, how we watch movies. Why do we like these movies? Why do we like the color red? Why do we like this item in my shopping cart? This is how we do it. Not with a single company that, controls the data and is going to manipulate us again, because it's a matter of time where ChatGPT is going to serve you ads. And before that happens, yeah.
Sounds good to me. Sounds excellent. I love it. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. This has been an amazing conversation. I enjoyed learning about Curious about you a lot. So my last question is this, is how can people find out more information about you, about Curious? How can they become curious?
So we have a waiting list going on right now. So if you go to curiousbrowser.com, you can sign up to be, on the waiting list to be the first pioneer in this revolution to control your own data. Like, for the first time, you're gonna have your own AI. It's like almost the movie Iron Man. You're gonna have your own Jarvis. Who doesn't like that? It's gonna be tailored for you, like with your voice and everything. So sign up for the waiting list, and appreciate everyone's time for listening. I appreciate your time as well for having me as a guest. And yeah, let's blast away.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.